time constraints with some members who have to leave a little bit earlier. And the agenda isn't particularly long, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's 5 o'clock on Thursday, November 16th. And the sign-in sheet, we're going to, I think, in the past, we've had, I think, everybody sign it, and it really helps, you know, later on, and who was here and who wasn't later on, and same with guests and so on. So I think compiling that list is helpful. Wow, this is really big. Chad, we'll make sure you're on this, okay? Anyway, so,
Make sure everybody can see it.
yeah, there you go.
Kim, and this was how much it was.
Okay, so it hasn't gotten that far? Okay. Where did it stop? That's all right, let me do it. Yeah. We'll get it around again. Thank you. So, I'm going to introduce the board members. Joe, would you go first, please? Just to introduce yourself.
Sure. Judd Markowski, resident of Bridport and Workforce Investment Board member. That's it.
Thank you. I'm Kenneth Barnum, the chairperson. I'm from New Haven, and I'm the community at large member for the Mount Abraham School District. Thank you.
I'm Wendy Pratt, the assistant director here at the Career Center.
Dan Rosignol, Northwest Pattison at large.
William Biederman, Middlebury, with member.
Christina Macklin, I live in North Ferrisburg, and I'm the Addison Northwest School Board rep.
I'm Nicole McTavish, I'm superintendent director, and I live here in Middlebury. I'm Rebecca Goulet, and I'm the business manager here at the Career Center.
Steve Warzek, excuse me, Middlebury resident and representative of the ACSD and vice chair.
Nick Colston, living in Shore, community at large member for ACSD.
Trisha Allen, living here in Middlebury, and one of the ACSD board reps.
Sharon Meacham in East Middlebury. I don't know how to introduce myself.
Workforce development, you know, basically
Okay.
you're from the workforce as a
Workforce.
representative.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Linda Barrett, clerk.
Thank you. And wonderful Patrice behind us, who provided us an arrange for water and little treats in the back. Thank you, Patrice. Anyway, looking at the agenda, any questions? Can we approve it?
So moved.
Thank you. Need a second?
Sure.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes. That motion passes. We have two people in the audience, and I apologize. They're employees, and I think it's important to see a little face here. So, Dave,
David Roberts, grants.
how's it going?
It's going great.
Good, thank you. We do appreciate your help. Thank you.
We'll talk a little bit about it. I think Joy will.
Joy Verplank, assistant director of adult education and curriculum here.
Thank you, Joe. Okay. Any public comment? Nobody in line, I don't think. And beyond the agenda items only. So, looking at the consent agenda, monthly accounts payable, have they been reviewed? And if we have some numbers maybe to add to this?
I think all the numbers are from October, so we'll
Okay.
do the numbers next.
All right, and there's been some conversation about maybe putting the numbers on here so that we don't have to read them each time. Something to think about, especially in case Nick goes back to golfing in the winter.
Yeah, no one.
Inside simulation. Anyway, but any questions regarding the agenda items, if we need to pull anything out?
Can I just clarify the bottom final number to make sure I'm looking at the same one?
On the consent agenda?
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking bills.
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So any questions? So you have a question on one of the payables?
No, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the same.
Okay, so I'm still looking at the front agenda, please. Anyway, so I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All set, Linda? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So moved. Thank you. Policy 2.5, emergency superintendent succession. You want to talk about that?
Sure. The,
In your packet.
in the packet, it just outlines the fact that if something should happen to me, that the district would not be in chaos. So I have not only a number 2, but a number 3 and a number 4 in here. So if something should happen to me, Dr. Pratt would be able to take over for us. And if something should happen to Dr. Pratt, then Dr. LaFlame can take over for us. And if something should happen to her, then we also have Kelly Mills in the wing, who has a director's endorsement. So I think you're covered.
Any questions about that document and the policy, which we try and review annually, obviously? Seeing none.
Do we have to accept that, or is that just something?
Yeah, that was my next question. It's in the consent agenda, so I think we've already kind of done that, but I just wanted to make sure if anybody had any questions, and that's probably out of order, but. Policy 2.6, asset protection.
So I don't know if it's in the packet or not. Yes.
Yeah.
2.6? Yes, it is.
It is, yes.
So basically, it just goes over, talking about how we're insured and bonded employees are covered by the Vermont School Board's insurance policy. And it talks about things like our process for disbursements of funds, and things like that.
So we've moved the reports up there, and obviously we just approved the consent agenda, but on that note, and I'm trying to look if there's any other place to do that, but I asked Steve Warsick, and obviously Bill went to the same conference that the VSBA put on, and I'm just wondering if you know, how was it? Did you get anything special out of it?
It was very informative,
Okay.
and the thing that I actually enjoyed the most was they had a presentation on bringing board members up to speed. And I've actually talked to, I wanted to go over it with you, but I reached out to Deb, who was presenting to us the night of the deluge, and asked her if she would help us with the materials, because the group that did the best presentation was from North Hero. And they set it up so it was educational, informative, and it wasn't listed as a board meeting, because it really wasn't a board meeting. But they did it for maybe 2 months, and they felt that the board members moved from being brand new to somebody who was there for almost 3 years, which was huge, because especially when you have a lot of turnover. It makes a huge difference if people can get up to speed quickly, understand what they're asking, and understand what they can't do. And then actually, I thought it was a great opportunity, and I'm going to pursue it, find out what we have to do, and then talk to folks and see if people are interested in doing it.
So did they reenact a meeting? Was it a particular subject?
They had a whole bunch. They had a whole bunch of different subjects that they
Okay.
talked about,
Okay.
and they ended up doing it. I think they had 5 or 6 meetings that they
Okay.
did, and they're actually going to do another one this year
Okay.
because they really enjoyed it, and they found that it really brought people up to speed quickly, and everybody was more helpful because they knew where they could pitch it. They need to know, as they said, stay in Hamley, and those things are important. So the other thing I want to do is I want to apologize because I know a bunch of people here were at the open house the other night. And I didn't introduce myself to your wife or anybody like that. I was trying to take other people around. I didn't mean to be rude. But it was a great event. So I also have another booklet, the annual business meeting. I picked up a spare. And then I have a Visbit. And I have one more that I'll bring to our next meeting that I don't know if we keep stuff like that someplace. If anybody wants to look at it. We have a library for the meetings. But I actually have paper copies. But I thought it was very beneficial. And I actually took them to Steve.
Yeah, we spent an evening sitting around talking. I had an equally good but a different experience from Bill. We went to different seminars. We actually sat down and tried to say, okay, let's divide this up so that we get as much coverage as we possibly can. The one that I went to on finance was really interesting from the standpoint of my role on my sending board, but it also served as an opportunity to talk to 3 legislators and to talk to them about CTE funding and the concerns that we have about that. And they were very receptive to what we were saying. So hopefully we have some friendly ears in the legislature now. And one of those legislators was Rebecca Holcomb. I don't know if you know who she is, former Secretary of Education. So, they were knowledgeable people, and it was good to have some contact with them. The keynote speaker was really good, and I really enjoyed his presentation. But probably the highlight of the whole thing was when students from Harwood came in and conducted a seminar with us. They led a seminar with all these board chairs and superintendents and led us through an exercise. And the young lady that we had was absolutely fantastic. She was a sophomore, and I was amazed at what she did. So it was really, really inspiring to see some of the things that were going on. It just, it was like being in a social studies classroom again and watching a star student perform. So it was quite a wonderful conference, and if you get a chance to go. I mean, the times that I've been, they've always been good. So if you get a chance to, I talked to the Secretary of State. We talked to a number of legislators, important and powerful people in the state of Vermont. And I know we're a small state, but those are the people that make decisions about our educational priorities and such. And it's good to have that kind of contact.
We also sat with a member of the DOE.
Yep.
Which was very helpful.
Yep.
Well, thank you for that. I think, I haven't been for a while, but went to numerous ones years ago, and you're right, they always were very involved, and they had great speakers, and like you said, you got to meet and work with the people that maybe have come here and done seminars or interviews and so on, and they do have some new people up there. I'm very impressed with, how they do things. They're former teachers, they get it, I was very happy with that when they did come down here. Enrollment report, I'm sorry.
One last thing, and if we think we have problems with budgets and things like that, we sat with a gentleman from Rivendell,
Yes.
and they're at $36,000 per student. And it was really interesting to talk to him about stuff and the challenges that they are seeing. And I didn't know that there was more than one board that actually crosses the border to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And he said it's tough because they can't get housing for the teachers, and everybody spends plenty of time on the bus even at that price.
I mean, along with that, I also got to talk to members of the board from Burlington about their high school situation. You think you have problems?
Sorry for cutting you off, Jim.
No problem at all. Enrollment report.
So we're trying a new format. You have to give us feedback. We will continue to iterate until it's in a format that works for you. Wendy did a really good job on this, I think, because one of the questions that you asked was that, actually the points that you made, was that you wanted to be able to tell how many kids were in each. Oftentimes we have two sections of kids in one classroom, but you also wanted to know how many kids were in that program and by teacher. So we tried to show all of those things on this. And I guess I'm just interested in any questions you may have or any feedback about the format. Because when we get the format nailed down, we'll just include this as part of our board report as a regular item so that you can stay informed.
Nicole, do you think you could do a total on the headcount number and the FTE columns?
Yep.
And I can tell you what those are if you want them right now.
I think we've had them last week or last meeting.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I believe you reported
I
it.
think they may have changed. Do you have them?
Total head count is 355,
Oh, it's higher.
Yeah.
and FTE is 131.77.
0.77.
I would love
No.
that. We have one arm and two legs.
Yeah.
I have 2.5 children.
Yeah.
So that's actually down a little bit
It is.
from last.
We, and at the next board meeting, I'll have a lengthier report on some things that we're finding as we continue to find things, which are historical but not correct, that we're gonna have to fix. And this is one of them. It turns out, I'll give you the preview, the teaser, is that we have some of our teachers in Virginia that are teaching middle school students that shouldn't be through no fault of their own. So we're gonna have to fix that. And that's related to the FTE number. So I'll have a longer report with the history, what happened, what is the case, and what we're gonna do to fix it at next board meeting.
Good.
And Virginia's aware of that?
We talked to them today.
Okay.
We discovered the answer this morning. We've been looking at this for about a month, trying to figure out why our numbers were not matching. And Wendy super sleuthed it today.
Yeah, if anyone needs a lesson on how to calculate an FTE, come see me.
You're the one who came up with the 0.7 person?
Any other questions? Dan, any questions, or are you just scratching? Thank you. Okay. So moving on, adult educational welding proposal.
So I'm gonna just briefly talk about this a little bit because I worked with Len this summer on the proposal. He was approached about offering a welding class for the Department of Transportation. So he did the narrative and I helped him with the budget, and basically it would be a welding class that would be offered to the Department of Transportation to bring up some of their workers and get welding what they need, and they would pay. I can't remember what we actually said we would charge, but we would be fully funded for it. I think it's going to start maybe in January.
They've also expressed interest in a leadership program for welding leadership, and we're likely to throw our name in that as well.
So we wanted to let the board know this was happening because it's a really cool partnership. And also just to publicly thank Lynn for going after the grant, because grants are always work. But this is a benefit to Addison County. So, thank you.
So would this be under adult ed? Okay, thank you. Joy, any takers on your phlebotomy?
We're over full.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Thank you. Be happy to report
And
that.
just a mutual admiration society. 3 days ago, we had 0.
Yes.
Today, we are full, over full.
Good old
Thanks
face.
to Joy.
Yeah, Joy and Facebook, thank you.
Yes.
I think that really, yeah.
I have a quick question on something like that. If someone's interested in taking that,
What? Oh,
I think Bill has a question. Go ahead, Bill.
if someone's interested in taking that and they can't be there the whole time, can any of that be remote?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I think they were hybrid during COVID. LNA programs stayed hybrid. Phlebotomy has capability, but there's also a self-paced online version that will prep you in the same manner, which is a great option for some people that just can't come in 2 days a week.
What do you do if we're oversubscribed?
We prioritize the people that are funded by grants so that they won't lose them. And then we make room for as many as we can.
Great. Thank you.
And then book another class.
Yeah.
Overflow and fill that one too.
Good job. Yeah.
Good to hear.
Never send them away.
Right.
Okay. Next question is advanced manufacturing grant.
Okay.
Patrice, can you pull the PowerPoint up?
I'm assuming you don't want to turn around, so. Yes. Okay. Quick overview, 5 slides, 5 minutes maybe. But stop me along the way if you like. So this is for the 2 high-tech manufacturing grants. Next slide, please. Is this going to be good? Okay.
Come over here.
Okay. Okay.
Jack, can you see that at all? Okay, awesome.
This is for a summary of progress on 2 very significant grants for us that are both making progress. They do connect with our mission of supporting workforce and development in Addison County and beyond. We've got a rock star team led by David Roberts. I'll be leading curriculum design with a team of subject matter experts, primarily Kyle, Katie, Hayden, and Nick. Dan is leading tech. Wendy is going to be our admin POC, but it does take a village. Alan's helping with making sure that the facility is prepared for the new equipment that we're going to get. Next slide. This is really cool. Just in looking at why this was important, I uncovered some really impressive statistics. You may know that manufacturers account for about 9.5% of the total output, but did you know that we have the highest percentage of high-tech exports of any state in the country? That may be a little narrative that you want to retain because it's kind of impressive. And then, of course, every manufacturing job supports 1.6 additional jobs. If you consider tech as a whole, not just high-tech manufacturing, which is a broader aspect of STEM, that jumps even higher. We're talking about 20% for that first stat and 2 jobs for everyone. So really, really important work we're going to be doing. 2 grants, 1 goal. The first one on the left is what we call the 100K grant. Awarded in April of last year, we've got until the end of June 2025 to spend it. We won't wait that long, I promise. Curriculum development for we're primarily focused on a hand soldering certification course, which is going to lead to a national certificate and national IRC. We're going to start with adult ed for a couple of reasons I'll get into, and then it will be integrated into a full-day program by fall semester of 24. The other one, the advanced version of the same, 550K, also from the feds. It's earmarked for us. We just need to go get it. And we're going to push that submission forward and try and get it in by the end of this month because we're being encouraged to do so we can speed up the process, spend it faster, implement it faster. That is also for curriculum development. What's important there is it's not covering tuition. That funding is going to come from all sorts of other places. And we're targeting that starting with the pre-tech class in spring and a full-day program by fall of 25. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive on each of those. The 100K grant, we're in catch-up phase. Slightly behind, but catching up fast. This is a partnership with Collins and Addison County, and they are both incredible partners on this. This month and next month, we're focusing on curriculum design. At a granular level, we are going to identify what they're going to do each week. Instructor training, we're getting Kyle up to speed, and we've got a little bit more information on that as well. We're going to start buying equipment rather, and we are continuously reviewing with our stakeholders, which includes Fred and a couple of wonderful reps from Collins. January and February, we'll be working even further on curriculum and really focusing on marketing and recruitment, which these 2 partners are going to help with. What's really amazing about Collins is they know that they're going to benefit, but they want everyone to benefit from this. So it's a great approach. By March, we'll have our first adult ed course. And next slide, I'll unpack that a little bit further. So what we determined was that we didn't have an instructor on hand ready to teach this, but Collins did. They just had someone graduate from the IRC, the J Standard certification course that prepares him to not only train, but certify the people in the course. So he's going to teach our first one. He's likely to also be retained as an adult ed instructor, which is amazing because he's not just a manufacturer, high-tech manufacturer, he also has a degree in education. So he's an educator first, which is a unicorn that walks through the door. And so Kyle is going to shadow with him while he's attending the same certification course so that he's prepared to do the same thing for our younger students. The other challenge that we had was that the original deadlines have passed, but David is negotiating those deadlines, so we shouldn't have a problem with that. All right, so that's the 100K grant. Next slide, the 550K grant, we are on track and fast approaching a deadline which we will meet. Working on the narrative, which is in draft form, preparing the budget, doing high-level curriculum so that we don't get stuck too granular at this stage, and we're going to submit funding so that we can get it faster. We anticipate that if there's any negotiation that's going to happen next month, hopefully they won't negotiate, they'll just say yes and hand us a bunch of money. And then we'll start building in January. Questions?
I think we have another unicorn up here.
Is the
Yeah, go back
instructor Mark Ruscicelli?
It is not, it is Jason Swift.
Okay, because Mark could be a fantastic backup, and he actually works for Collins.
We will take a full bench because the only other similar course that's been offered by VMAC sold out within 10 hours. We anticipate we will be able to fill this course so much that we're going to be able to run it concurrently.
What kind of numbers? Just
8. Well, so you've
Okay.
got to have the soldering stations, which I think, no, 6, I'm sorry, 6 plus 1 for the instructor.
We're gonna try to do 8
I hope so.
yeah.
I hope so.
Okay.
We're also considering that there might be a higher level type of equipment that can support the 550K grant that's not necessary for the 100K grant, and so building for the future so that we're not catching up again.
Do you need any help?
David, do we need any help?
No, I think this is great, that you guys are attentive and informed and interested. I think that's really what we need is the board support. I think it will be, as we develop the program, especially the 550 grant, as we start, like, it's hopefully will be a new day program, right? Which is an exciting thing. That would launch in August of 2025, because it takes us a while to get approvals and all those kind of things. So I think more support and from the board and with that process, whatever that looks like. And I keep telling the team, with this great team, that's the dream team, I call it, and they're all excited about it. And I keep telling them, let's not get too much into the details of it until January, because we can get bogged down in how it's going to look. And so we're just going to plug through and get the money and then have some real good and hard conversations about what it might look like in 2025.
Christine?
I was just wondering about space, in terms of the school, these programs aren't going to run out of, and we have plenty of space, or is that an issue?
Do we have plenty of space, Nicole?
So far,
Yeah.
right. It depends on how big the program grows,
Mhm.
but we can currently house it in the space that we have,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
with some modifications to rooms, which the grant will help us do.
Okay. And you mentioned, like, that one course will be capped at 8, would that, for a day program, would that be a similar number that you'd have to cap it at, or?
No, I think the soldering class will be, actually, hopefully it's going to be next door, which is cool. Like, you guys will be able to go and see what that space looks like. It'll be 6 because we have budget to buy 6 stations. But when we get the 550 grant, I think we're talking, we have a lot more budget for equipment. And so I think the numbers can be quite large because, if you think about engineering space and industrial space holding a whole bunch of people, I think it can be really great. And it's going to be a pre-tech class, adult class, and a day program class.
Sounds amazing.
Dan?
On the developing the curriculum, do you have to reinvent the wheel, or do you have set curricula that give you an outcome?
So one of the greatest things that happened was when we got Collins to let us know what their standard was that they wanted. Because instructional designer, you start with the outcome and then
Good.
you
Yeah,
work towards that. So when we got that and found out what the certification course was and the trainer course, it comes with curriculum that we have to modify very slightly to meet a broader need. So, and another great thing about that is it's a 40-hour course, which means we can, even if we're limited to 6 initially, we can run them pretty frequently.
Steve?
I'll add that that's for the $100,000 grant, the soldering class.
Yeah.
The other course, we're pretty early in the process to start thinking about curriculum development, but what we are doing is looking at existing programs in the state. There are a couple of really good models River Valley
Yeah, River Valley.
is doing this kind of program. I think what we'll be doing over the next 6 months is visiting some of them, talking to businesses and pulling in a group of partners that really want to help us develop what that program is going to look like.
Steve, where's it?
So since this is a hands-on sort of thing, how many students can an instructor have? Let's say you had unlimited space and could put in an unlimited number of workstations. What's the limit that the course is at? I mean, like, we have some courses here where there's a hard, you can't go above that. And then some that are a little more flexible. What would, in terms of facility and expenses, yeah, those are different conversations, but instructionally, with one instructor, how many can you practically have? Because you said you've got a lot of demand for this.
Right.
I would say soldering is probably 8.
I would say so
Yeah.
too. If we get the demand that we're anticipating, we could stagger some of those things because some of the courses don't require the hands-on.
Okay.
And we might be able to alternate some things. With the 550 grant, it's possible we could go in some kind of breaking it up into micro-credentials and then the courses won't be using the same equipment at the same time. We don't know what that's going to look like yet.
So if we know that 6 stations are funded by the grant, could you give us an estimate of how much per station?
I think it's around 3,500.
3,500 each station. So if we would anticipate being up to 8, and that depends on grants that could come in staggered, $7,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money to get us up to 8. And then maybe pull that money in when the grant comes in, like we get them all at once. And then when that grant money comes in, replace funding for something else. Do you understand what I mean? Or
Yeah, I would
too
leave
much
that
of
up
a
to them.
shelving?
Anyway, the partnership piece, I'm curious, you mentioned that one facility really has kind of a model. Are they partnering with somebody else?
Which, the
River
instructor?
Valley.
Yes, River Valley. Are they partnering with any other industrial?
I'm not sure, that's a good question. I know that, and we talked about this at the meeting yesterday, that they're working with VTC and
Okay.
CCV to offer college credits.
Okay.
So some of the same things that we would be doing, but we haven't reached out to that. The head of that had a family emergency, so not
Okay.
something that we wanted to knock on his door before the holidays.
Well, I'm curious, like you said, of the other industries in the area, whether it's GE and Rutland, you know, I mean, I just think there's a lot of groups out there, like you said, would want to be involved in it if they could, in regards to improving their employment.
We've identified Beta,
Okay.
obviously,
Good.
which is a good one, and we
Right.
have personal connections into that organization, which is awesome. Obviously, Dave Cole's Mechanical Advantage here,
Sure.
Global Foundries, and there are just a few. I think we all kind of decided to stay away from GE because it's
Okay.
right in the back door of Mr. Lucci over at Stafford. So,
But I don't think it's a bad thing to approach, that they know that it's there and there's a little competition up the road.
yeah.
Only because they do manage to take, you know, whether it's CLA, you know, whatever it is, or CDM, whatever. Anyway, some of the other trainings from this area, because we can't offer those things, so,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
I think we're gonna, you know, the view to also address, I think it's smart to kind of start slow and easy. Let's get our 6 in, let's work out the kinks.
Right.
And then it's always easier, like you said, it's easier to just add another class. Because if we're doing it on Mondays and Wednesdays and it's banging, we can do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Easier than having a couple more machines to try to fit in and that kind of thing. So I think that's what we're going to try to do, and just get our feet wet a little bit and work out the kinks before we get too far.
Rebecca, did you want to add anything? No. 2 unicorns in the back. Any other questions? I'm pretty excited, thank you.
Nice work.
Very nice,
Yeah, very, very nice, thank you. Quick work, oh boy. Anyway. All right, so seeing no more questions about that, and thank you again for your presentation. Action agenda. Do you, We explained it last time, we were supposed to take action on this, and we didn't, and it's regarding the superintendent's request to roll over some vacation time that she has not used in 2023, and would like to use it in 2024. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I need a motion to approve that. If you have some more questions, we can answer those, but it's a little bit different than her contract. In other words, that clause isn't covered, and she hasn't used that time, so.
I move that we approve the superintendent's request to roll over 2023 vacation in 2024.
In a second?
Just gonna say something, it's my understanding it's also being done outside of school, right, correct?
Yeah, I currently have no plans to be gone when school is in session. That's generally not how, unless something like a family emergency comes up, I try not to ever be gone when kids are here.
Sorry for interrupting.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Please say aye. Anybody opposed? And the motion is passed. Board goals.
Those are my goals? Okay.
Yeah, they're yours. Yeah.
Oh, should we say superintendent goals?
Yeah.
I was confused.
We're gonna give it to her anyway.
We have a typo, sorry. All right, and I have this as part of a packet we're gonna discuss in executive session, so do you want to discuss it now? Do you want to do it in, I'm happy to do it either way.
I'm trying to look at what we have here. I wonder if we ought to table it
Okay.
till executive session and just go through the.
And do the action after it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I think that might be easier. Informational agenda, preliminary budget development presentation and discussion.
Yeah, so in your handout, you'll find a one-pager.
Okay, thank you. Just a correction, I need a motion to table the action until executive session. Can I have that motion? Okay, Christina, a second? Thank you, Nick. She beat you. Yeah. It's a little competition in your parents. Anyway, all those in favor of moving that agenda item down to executive session, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So, thank you, Linda, for that. That's why you're here, girl. You got that. Robert's rules. Anyway, so go ahead, Rebecca, I'm sorry.
So just a quick one-pager, just to kind of let you know where we are in the process. We had all our meetings with all of the instructors, which was really informative. And they prepared a template that we've given them, they filled in a template, so we got their input on everything. They also gave us a list of like future wish list items, which we'll be compiling and we'll be talking about later on as well. And so we haven't really, dived into this right now. We don't have a lot of information from the state, like the base education rate and things like that. So this was really just to kind of let you know where we kind of landed. We haven't gone through it line by line or anything like that yet. I think in executive session, Nicole's going to ask the board for some guidelines as well. And she'll bring those back to me and our team and we'll work on them. But overall, we are up about 10.4% in expenses. Obviously, we don't have the revenue side yet, so it's hard to tell what the tuition rate would be. And as you can see from the pie graph, a lot of our stuff is fixed, salary and benefits, and a few assumptions were made for that as well. And the debt service takes up a big portion. Other areas that are up a little bit, just more professional development and some supplies and things of those nature. Like I said, this is the whole kitchen sink that everyone's asked for. And through the budget process, one of the things that I'm doing is I am breaking it down by program. So not in a public, we can talk about it that way. We probably won't give all the salary details on the program line just because that's only one person. And we're going to break it down that low. But we'll be able to say, we'll be able to look at the budget versus the FTE and see where we can break even and where we might need to recruit more. So hopefully that'll be a good tool in the future.
Questions? Christina, go ahead.
Am I reading this right, Rebecca, where it says insurance is going up 1.2%? Is that right?
On the back, the back side of that is the percentage of the total budget that it is.
That affects.
1.14?
Of the budget.
That's the percentage of the budget, but
Correct.
I'm talking about how much it's increasing. I'm sorry, so I thought that's
It's
what.
okay. So, the
Okay.
health insurance is going up about 16.5%,
Okay,
so that's a really big number.
yes, it is.
And Visbit, they have a whole range of like different insurances and how much they're going up. Like property is going up 22%, based on a lot of the losses that have happened in the last year. Workers' comp is only going up 3%, so when we balance out all of the Visbit insurance, their overall increase is 9%.
So we just, in Addison Northwest, just had our first budget presentation, with a ballpark figure,
Yeah.
and they all were asking me what our figure here was going to be, and I know you're coming soon, so just
We are.
FYI, that they're chomping at the bit for that number.
We are too.
Yeah.
We are too. ACSD has been bugging me.
Yep. I have an email out to Heather to get on the agenda there, and also like, I'm not paid, Lauren's working on that for us. So,
I've just never
Yeah.
said it there, yeah.
So
And, you know,
just-
the first go on is a lot pretty.
So, just a little add-on for some of the newer members. What the superintendent and business manager have done in the past is they go to the sending schools and give kind of a report how this budget was developed, maybe some update on some programs, question, Q&A, maybe a little presentation. That's what's been done in the past. We kind of leave that up to them. But if you are aware of when they're going to be, some of you are on the board, so you're going to see that presentation. But say as a community, a large member of workforce, you might want to pick your district to go and visit, because it's helpful in the audience when their new board members are asking questions. And I mean, they get answered, but again, just to clarify, and then they see the face, they go, oh, you're on the board, okay, good. So it works twofold. And also talking about new programs that are coming in, such as what we just saw, because a lot of them have not been down here. They have no idea. So that invitation is obviously an open piece, and Nicole will give numbers and so on, but that's about it. If you have any questions. Steve?
I know, it always seems like when we get into the budget, it's, well, this is gonna be a bad year. This year, there's new funding formulas, and the sending districts are really, really nervous. Speaking of that, because there's the new penalty, if we go above 10%, we really get hammered. I mean, like double tax rate. It's not just, you know, the old double tax, if you go over this amount, double tax the extra, it's the whole tax rate. So we could, if we judge this wrong, we could end up doubling our entire tax rate. And that's the kind of thing that leads to defeats in budgets and that kind of stuff. So it's not you, it's, they're nervous about every little bit. We're involved in negotiations, another huge up in the air. The 16.25, that was off the charts. So, that's why we're getting, I think that Christina's hearing it as well. It's like, what's the number coming from Hannaford? What's the number coming from Hannaford? And we have to keep going. We gotta wait too, because we don't have all of our numbers in yet. But when you do your presentation, expect some questions.
Yeah, we learned the other day, if any school district goes over 10%, that you have to go before a review board.
Right.
And nobody needs to do that.
No, in the review board, we made up of 3 superintendents and 3 business managers. At the VASBO meeting last Friday, we talked a lot about this, and of course, I see it, it's very different for me now. I used to be in a district where, you know, the ELL rating is much higher, it would be a lot more money. And I think, you know, even the AOE doesn't really know what this is gonna look like still. So it's scary for all of us, and I think it's gonna be a little rough until we figure it out.
Did they discuss, is it Act 127?
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things that I sat through for the budget. And it was really confusing, because at the end of it, it looked like everybody had to request a certain amount above and beyond what they had last year. And if they don't request it, they can never ask for it again. And I think the figure was like a 5.1% increase, and it's just like, so you're asking people to spend up to that, and if they don't, they can never ask for anything again. I'm like, it's not really a good way to budget.
And there's no precedent, right? And so everyone's kind of in the same boat. Like some business managers were saying, you know, with this new formula, I should ask for an extra 2.5 million, right? Because if I don't ask for it this year,
You don't get
I'm never gonna get it again, so it's an opportunity to get it. whereas other districts are in the other situation. So, you know, whenever they change the funding formula, it's always interesting because there's always winners and losers, right? And you never really know what side you're on until you get through a cycle or two, but it's pretty nerve-wracking out there. And it also, the business managers are saying it's hard to explain it to boards because it's the first go-around for business managers, and we're not that well versed in it yet either. We haven't had a lot of guidance or training from the AOE.
There was just a big webinar yesterday that the BSBA put on Act 127.
I went to that.
You did, yeah, so one of my board members, two of our board members went, we got a new, the rest of us, you gotta watch it, it was really helpful. I don't know.
It's pretty high level. I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
great for
Yeah.
the public. They did say in the very beginning, like, this is not going to help a business manager do their job. You have to have more training. But I think it gave it a nice synopsis, and it was pretty much in layman's terms, so to
Yeah.
speak. So I think it was very clear. They just went through and showed how the weightings changed. Like, things like, you know, they pulled up the middle school kids, and their weighting is now different than the high school kids. They talked about the weighting of ELL. They talked about the weighting of the poverty. It's a pretty complex formula. I mean, it's just, funding in the state of Vermont is just not easily explained. I finally just understood the way we were doing it for years.
It took you 3 years to do that, exactly. Any other questions at this point? And again, if you have a question, I think Rebecca's willing to answer it as we go along the way, and you go, like, what were you talking about?
One question,
Ian?
things like insurance and stuff, is that competitive, or is this something the state just trickles
So
down on
health
us?
insurance, or are you talking like, well, health insurance, we belong to VHI, and it's the Vermont Education Health Initiative. And they negotiate, they work with the union, and they present the rates, and they have to go in front of the commission.
Okay.
So that was the recommendation that they're giving to the commission. It'll be approved, or they'll look at it and give the final in January. Every school in the state of Vermont is covered by that. We have more buying power that way.
Okay.
And as far as the liability, and the other side is VISBIT, you can choose to be a member of the Vermont School Board Insurance Trust. In my previous role, I was actually one of the first members in there, and I think they've done a lot of good things for the schools around here. And they are competitive. Once again, if we were to go out and try to do it on our own, we don't have the buying power, and we don't have the breadth if there was a catastrophe. So they really do work really hard.
Yeah, I
to do the
guess
best
the point
they
is,
can.
if it's something that quote unquote trickles down from higher up, and they say it's a 16% increase, there's not much we can do.
Well, you know, the health insurance was negotiated by the state. They took it over in an effort to save all the school districts money. And now it's a
You know how that often
60%
works.
plus.
Yeah, that's what we're
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous,
Yeah.
honestly. But anyway.
Just for an update on that, I sit on the Vermont Governor's Insurance Commission, and we will be starting negotiations this spring with the teachers union, and it's for that one contract. The votes are pretty even, so we traditionally in the last two go-arounds have gone to arbitration. And so on. In fact, our chairperson is on Christina's board. So Mark does a great job of doing that, and he's also an attorney, so it's helpful. But anyway, and we have people that are on current school boards, some that were on current school boards, pretty diverse group, and some good legal representation. But again, I'll keep you updated as we move through that. Any other questions? Nick?
So do you feel that 10.4 is the final, or is there more to be done?
You know, we have to look at it in more detail, and we do get a little direction from the board on a few things. So this is just kind of the first thing. Like, I just took everything and dumped it in here.
Okay.
I think once we get a little direction and we get some more information as far as the base ag rate and things like that, we'll go through it more carefully, and we'll talk about it and see where we really want to land. And like I said, this is just all the whole kit and caboodle that people asked for.
Super nice.
Yep. We didn't really dive into it or say no to anything yet. Just want to kind of throw it out there and let you guys see what was asked.
So these are not the numbers you're going to show to the sending school?
Not at this point.
No, essentially what you're looking at is if we said yes to every request from every instructor, and we bought every piece of equipment that they wanted, and we paid every bill, and we have an assumption in here about what our negotiation is gonna turn out like, but that may not be the direction you give us, and it may not be the final result. So,
Rebecca, are you expecting any losses in revenue for next year, or for?
Well, obviously, we'll have to look at the sixth semester
Yeah.
FTE,
Okay.
and because we dipped a little bit,
Yeah.
so that might affect us a little bit.
Mm.
So we'll have to keep an eye on that
That's
as
an
well.
effect,
Other than that, I suspect that the grants will, grow proportionally to what's happening in the state. And that's really our big revenue sources, is those things. So I think, I wouldn't expect to see any loss in revenue.
Okay.
I don't expect to see any great grand
Right.
recaps, but I think we'll be pretty status quo there.
Steve Rooney is not here. He is leading our negotiations. We've had one meeting, organizational meeting, really. Steve had suggested a different style of negotiation that they use over at Mount Abe, and we had a presentation from a,
is Misty on?
No.
no,
Oh, that's
I was gonna say this, Jeff.
Oh,
Lynn?
gotcha, sorry.
Anyway, had the presentation, we set up dates, and we have some preliminary ground rules that we try and introduce at that point where everybody agrees to at least those. So, then we obviously have a break right now, so we'll take that. So, Steve, Judd, myself are in that group, and they have 3 people in their group. So, I think it was quite congenial. We made sure we had food, all the important things that you need to have. Judd, you want to add to that? Our first meeting, anything?
No, I think I just echo that. I think it was a pretty warm atmosphere, even though the room was a little cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bear Center, the Black Onion provided us with some little sandwiches and the necessities, so that was really nice. And even though we didn't, I don't know that we made, anyway, we got a great presentation on a different type of negotiating that really intrigues me for the future. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions about any of the parts of these 2 presentations? And thank you for giving us a little update on the outside conference that you went to. I think that's helpful when people see what kind of input the state is or is not giving you. Anyway, from there. Next item is about ID badges.
So there's been some talk that some people would like to have badges for when they go to conferences and things like that. Happy to say that we, after all these years, have finally bought our own badge maker. We've always depended on ACSD, and Bruce McIntyre is great for doing it, but now we can do it in a much timely manner. And we do have some blanks, so if board members were interested in having one with their name and the logo, I'm happy to print those up for you. You can just send me an email or call me to make an appointment to do one.
Nick's got his.
Nick's
There you go.
got his.
6 years old.
Yeah, so it won't give any access to the buildings or anything, but if you would like one for when you go to public events, I'm happy to make one for you. Just reach out to me and we'll figure it out.
It's also helpful at open house. When they look and they go like, who are you? And they look down. Anyway, and other meetings that are related to the school itself, it helps identify you where. And I think there's some new lanyards coming too with the right colors. Or new
They're
colors.
going to be blue.
They're gonna be
They are
blue.
all printed, and Eric St. John, who lives in Bridgens, I had asked him to pick them up for me when it was convenient for him, so I didn't have to make a special trip. And he agreed. So
There
when
you
we come
go.
back from Thanksgiving break, we will have those. Right now, we're just pushing to do the secure cards for staff because we are rekeying the building next week, and they're only going to be able to get into the building using a card access. So we've been focusing on the staff right now, but after break, if somebody wants something, please let me know.
Any questions?
I'm kind of out of line, but I wanted to mention one thing, because you mentioned open house again. One of the things that was great about the open house was it's the first time I've ever seen the principal from the high school in the building.
Which high school?
And, in the past, they never came
Came
down.
here.
They never came
From
down.
They've been here in the past.
No, I haven't seen them before. But I ran into her in 2 or 3 different classrooms. She was out, she wanted to know who they were, wanted introductions, and it was awesome to see.
We
Nice
get,
work.
I think at the spring open house, you will see a lot of parents that come in that have students here, and I just recall last year we had, let's see, a parent was a superintendent, you know, police chief, wherever it is, and you see, ooh, there's a lot of people here, and, you know, with those types of hats on. And I think it's helpful, you know, when you find, well, Christina's on board, there were a few people from there that came over, you know, that didn't have, but where they were curious about the building and what goes on. So it was nice to be able to see people who want to come educate themselves beyond just their Sunday school.
And I did write a thank you to Caitlin and CC, her boss, so you would see that she did a good thing too.
And add a girl or for that reason. Yeah. Okay. Any questions about the badge roll and contact you?
Yep.
Public comment. We have Lynn Smith's online. Do you have a comment, Lynn, or? It's frozen. Guess not. No, anyone else? Peanut gallery? No, you're good. Okay. All right. So moving on to policy 4.1. It's based on governing style and just kind of how did the meeting go and any feedback, especially from me, would be helpful. That's right. Jed.
I was thinking I would do that if everybody's okay with it. 4.1.
Thank you, sir.
Early on in the meeting, I had some distinct thoughts of how high quality everyone's answers to the questions were from Joy and David Roberts. And then I started to lose track of how many good answers I heard to all of our questions. So I can't name everyone, but really I feel like there's a pragmatic group of thoughtful people at the various wheels of the Career Center right now, and that feels really, really good. We didn't go over much of the superintendent report, but I have to say that when I scrolled down and I saw the pictures of the bruises on the kids' noses, it made me stop thinking it was all just paint. But that's the way to get me to really read the superintendent's report. Also in there, just one more thing, just a shout out to the local businesses such as Monument Farms in this one, but also other businesses who constantly give to so many organizations, including the Career Center. Again, just awesome organizations that are always doing stuff. And in this case, if you didn't read the report, it was a truck that they either donated or sold last year, and the kids are learning to drive a large truck, which amazing that we have an opportunity to have our students learn that right here on campus, and there's a business that donated. So thank you. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Jen. Ready. So we are going to have an executive session. BSA 313A1 followed by adjournment. So Linda will get if there are any actions taken after that, we will get that information to you. All right, so I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Nick, and second? Bill? All those in favor?
Bye, thank you guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Give the